Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Jeff Hockman with SRL Solutions, self-reliant through preparation. I have two friends, Chad Hoover with Kayak Bass and TV and Zeke Stout with SDI School of Firearms Technology. Together they have a radio show called Outside In on Super Talk 997 WTN on Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. I'm going to be bringing you on a regular basis behind the scenes footage of this show. Today's guest is YouTube sensation and gun enthusiast, Hickok45.
Welcome back to the Outside In show.
On Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Outside In is brought to you by SDI.edu. SDI is the only accredited college in the United States with an associate's degree in firearms technology. Check them out at SDI.edu.
Speaking of firearms, speaking of firearms technology, before we left for the break, I think Hickok was about to head down a road that I'm really interested in. So let me frame this up for the folks at home.
You know I'm not going to let firearms go, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Let me frame this up for the folks at home. I've got my F's working now. I've got the luxury of being on TV and using sponsorship gear that is, gear that I bought, gear that I used before I was on TV. So I'm blessed with the opportunity to have, what I consider the best in every category in the game. So I get to use the best stuff. Really easy to talk about something you love, really easy to promote it. I've watched your video and I've followed you. I won't say from the beginning, but probably early on when your stuff first started to get real traction. And I've seen you talk about guns that you love, and I've seen you talk about guns that you necessarily didn't love. I've seen you refer to stuff as the lower end. I would never be able to get away with that in my business because you're not framing it up that way. The manufacturers kind of have a way that they want you to talk about things. So I'm kind of pulling the veil back here a little bit. But what I'm interested in is the unique perspective that you have. You have the ability to kind of do what you want to do. You get to take the firearms and the products that you want to talk about, and you get to say what you think. And that's a real cool angle. That's a really unique perspective in today's over-commercialized, sponsored, it's kind of over-sanitized world. Mm-hmm. And so talk a little bit about, some of your favorite firearms that you've gotten to kind of promote or feature, we'll say feature, and some of the ones that you've not been favorable, that haven't been such a favorable outcome, and kind of that dynamic of being able to just say whatever you want to say. I think that's a unique perspective to
Purell has corrupted our society.
To YouTube. Yeah, exactly. We need some of those bacteria.
Too much Purell.
We need to get more bacteria in our
system. If I dog Purell enough, do you think they'll sponsor us?
That's probably true. They probably could. All right, so Hickok, tell us about that topic. The ability to have the freedom to do what you want to do.
Okay. John and I, my partner, my son, we really value our independence. We're a little different than what you do. We didn't set out to be gun reviewers, but we've kind of become that in a lot of ways. We do it our own way. I give my impressions. I don't give extremely detailed reviews, but I guess we are gun reviewers in most of our videos. But so we don't really take anything from gun manufacturers because of that. It just wouldn't, make sense for us. Things we don't review, we have 3 or 4 sponsors. We don't review gunsmithing schools, for example. We don't sponsor gun shops. We don't review gun shops. So we have a sponsor, Bud's Gun Shop. And the beauty of that is we can get guns from them or from viewers will lend them to us. A lot of guns I have a lot of firearms, just various sources. We have other gun shops. We have a gun shop in Massachusetts that sends us a firearm every now and then. Just keep it and do a video with it. We don't review gun shops. So the beauty of that is they don't care. Buds doesn't care. That gun shop, and we've got them from other gun shops too. And if you lend me a gun, you don't really care you want me to be honest about what I think about it. So we are in that unique position where we're not dependent on any gun manufacturers. Even if we get a T&E gun from a manufacturer, you say what I think. I don't care if they send us another one or not. We get very few of those anymore. We get them from gun shops generally. And so we're not in anybody's pocket. which makes it really a nice place to be. But yet we still have sponsors, and so like we've had a little safe, gun safe sponsorship. We may get some more from. We're talking with a gun safe company, for example, may or may not, but we don't review gun safes. See, so
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. And there are guns, to answer your question, that I don't like. Now, I don't care for a high point. I would never buy a high point to
You
carry.
don't like cinder blocks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice brick and a boat anchor.
Yes,
Speaking of boat
it
anchors,
would be a great boat anchor.
But you could tie a rope to the trigger guard and swing it around your head and,
Yeah.
and do some
That would
damage
hurt,
with it.
yeah.
Great
All right, so
boat anchor.
I'm going to stop you for just a second and go back to something you said because growing up in the military, I'm very
You grew up in the military?
I joined at 16. I
Well,
was active
wow.
duty on by 17, so I pretty
Did you
much
fake your
grew up
age,
in
or
it.
did you get the permission?
No, I got the permission.
Okay.
And so I signed my mama's name. But anyway, I'm used to using acronyms and I'm used to using abbreviations. So you said manufacturer sends you a T&E gun. We've got a lot of folks at home that are hunters and fishermen that aren't, even the guys that use guns to go, bang,
Not
dead,
a
kill
TNA
stuff.
gun.
They're not a gun enthusiast. So tell the folks at home what a T&E gun, what does that mean?
Okay.
What does that entail? And what state is that gun in when you receive it and it's in the T&E?
And if you don't know the answer, that's okay.
I have no clue. No, it stands for test and evaluation. And just like magazine writers, they used to be, I guess, the only ones that would get those pretty much. But as YouTube grew, I guess we were one of the first channels that actually, I pursued Glock. I wrote them. I wrote a couple other I remember when I got the first Glock as a test and evaluation firearm, a gun lent to us to do a video with. I thought I had made it. Wow, Glock. They sent me a firearm.
You done hit the
for
redneck
free.
lottery.
I thought I'd made it. It's funny because now we've evolved to the point we don't even like to take that many T&E guns, and don't from Glock. They're harder to work with. But then again, so that's what that is. But now to give you a clue,
what would you attribute that to? What would you attribute Glock being hard to work with to?
Because
is it leadership? Is it mindset?
I love their firearms. They're my favorite carry gun probably. But
Are all Glock people like that? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, not all of them. No, the company. I'm talking about the company.
But don't the people kind of adopt that mindset, really?
Nah.
Don't you know who Glock
Some of the
guys
employees
are?
might. Not some of the employees might. But a T&E gun is just a firearm that they send out like the magazine writers.
You know how to
send it
tell.
back.
I hate to interrupt you again, but
Go
you know
ahead.
how I got to tell a guy's a Glock guy, right?
Oh.
Because he'll walk up to you and say, "Hey, I'm a Glock guy."
He'll tell you.
Hell no.
A lot like a fighter pilot.
Yeah, I'm a fighter.
You'll never not know that he's a fighter pilot.
You have to worry about it. He'll tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. But one last point on what a T&E gun is. A lot of people, it's funny because I'll get messages on comments or private messages they'll ask me on YouTube about or Facebook. How do I get T&E guns? They're thinking about doing a YouTube channel. How who'd you contact at Glock or CZ or whoever? And I try to be diplomatic. I said, well, I didn't contact them until we had about 100,000 subscribers.
Right.
And what people don't realize is it's always out of the marketing.
Yes.
They want to
absolutely.
put it. They just like they want to put a fishing rod in your hand.
Absolutely.
And so it's a mutual thing there.
And one thing about their channel, real quick, is I learned this at an early point in getting to know them, is their integrity is intact. One weird thing is once somebody figures out Hickok45 outside of YouTube, you get calls from manufacturers and hey, can you get Hickok45 this?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, can you get him that? And the first time I called, I was like, hey, and I won't mention any names, this manufacturer wants to send you this. And I think I talked to John, and he was like, look, if we take that for a free gun, then we feel obligated, and we don't want to do that because we want to maintain the integrity of we either bought it ourselves or they T&E'd it and we're sending it back to them after we evaluated it.
The only free guns we take are from some small, like little manufacturer that no one knows about, and they really are desperate to get their gun out there, and maybe some AR no one's heard of, and maybe it really does look like a good firearm. Well, because of our exposure, we got the feeling like, well, we're not going to be in their pocket. They make one thing, and and we have taken some firearms from really small companies you've never heard of, probably, and it's kind of a gray area, I guess, because we give them exposure, and rather than ask them for money, we say, well, sometimes if you don't need the gun back, it looks like an interesting gun, we may do a video with it, but we wouldn't from like any of your major manufacturers.
I've been blessed with the opportunity to get involved with some companies early on. And for me, that's probably the most rewarding part of what I do is you see a company early on You get them some exposure through your YouTube following, through your social media, through your your YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel as well. My television shows are the bigger platform, but it's really awesome. That's probably the best part of what I do, is to be able to do a simple endorsement, to be able to lend your voice to something and it have a major impact on a business and help them get off the ground. That's probably the favorite part of my job.
And we've done that.
Is guys reach out to me and say, "Hey man, I'm thinking about starting this company. I got this product." Not everybody that starts companies got a redneck voice. It's just the one I like to use.
Yeah.
And they say, you mind taking a look at it? And what's cool, if I can catch a product early on, especially in that T&E or that prototype phase, and say, really some of the things you should think about, and it saves them spending the money on tooling. It saves them spending the money on building up $100,000 to $500,000 in inventory to make a mistake before they take it to the market. That's huge for me. So I really do enjoy, that part of the industry. And, if there's folks out there listening on the hunting side, on the fishing side, on the shooting side, and I'll tie this all back together in a second, that are interested in that kind of pro staff approach. They want to be affiliated with companies. The answer to that question, and I get it a lot, I'm sure you're getting it, a lot, is, hey man, you're doing all this stuff and you're doing this and you're doing that. And how do you develop this rapport with these companies? The answer to that question for me, 90% of the time, is just do it. Yeah. Listen, dude, just do what you do. Keep doing it, keep promoting. I have guys all the time ask me, hey, I see that you blog. I see that you do photography, you do video, you do tournaments, you do magazines, and you do this. So what do you think I should do? And I'm like, you just answered your question. You got to do it all. And so in the beginning, the first one's the hardest. I'm glad you told that story about the Glock, because getting that first kind of validation that what you're doing people care about is huge. It's almost like you're picking at the dam and you get a little hole and then the water starts to trickle out and then the whole dam opens up and it becomes overwhelming. And I know folks that know me and have come to my office, and it looks like Christmas. It literally looks like Christmas almost every day, because there's boxes piled up and people are sending me stuff to test and evaluate and to use. And so we're going to head to a commercial break. Yeah. We'll be right back. I'm going to draw a line in the sand there. I'm going to frame it back up when I get back, because I got one more big question that you got to answer for me.
All right.
Thanks for watching this episode. I hope it was instructional. If you could click on the little red button that says subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it, and you can keep checking back in for weekly updates. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments section with whatever comments or questions you may have, and interacting with you, my fans, and get any information to you that I can that's relevant to the question. And if you also want to see something in an episode, I'll be happy to give you credit for it and also get the information together for you. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, the space station, wherever social media is next. Click on more of my videos to expand your knowledge and become more self-reliant as we learn together.